I often tell my sorcerer artist Faustus Crow, I need his love, sex, intelligence, increasing through the naughty things he does to me. My L.S.I is all that he requires. Crow's L.S.I is my heart's desire. Together we are strong enough to carry on and on. I come on like a seventh sense, defining my crow's pleasure principle. But then, I am a personification of L.S.I, manifesting as a succubus art muse of chaos magic, haunting the haunted art studio of my crow, whose mind gets high like adrenaline, pure as diamond, cool and crystalline, when conjuring me amidst his triangle of art imagination, so that he can be inspired by my L.S.I within his erotic lucid dreams. It turns out that sex can actually increase your intelligence. The Frankenstein scientists have discovered that sexual activity in lab mice improves their mental performance when navigating infernal mazes, as well as increasing their production of new neurons in the hippocampus, where long-term memories are being formed. This is termed as neurogenesis, which is the generation of neurons from neural stem cells. The process of neurogenesis continuously occurs in specific regions within the plasticity of the adult brain. Although the developmental neurogenesis of a child and adult brain are of course markedly different. New neurons are continually being born inside human brains, throughout their adulthood within two regions of the brain, within the subgranular zone part of the dentate gyrus of the hippocampus, and the striatum. However, adult-born neurons are a type of interneuron, which projects into other brain areas. Most of the scientific research is investigating neurogenesis within the dentate gyrus, than in the other areas of the brain. Many of the newborn dentate gyrus neurons expire shortly after they are generated, but a number of them become functionally integrated into the surrounding brain tissue. There are 700 new neurons, which are added in the hippocampus of adult humans about every day. Adult neurogenesis poses many implications in regards to the plasticity of the brain and its creative functioning in inventive tool creation, learning new abilities, memory and emotion, as well as being implicated in mental illness issues concerning stress, depression, and other conditions. A research team from the University of Maryland reported that when middle-aged rats are permitted to engage in sex, they showed signs of improved cognitive function and hippocampal function. Other researchers from Konkuk University in Seoul concluded that sexual activity counteracts the memory-degrading effects of chronic stress in older mice. One of the Seoul researchers said, sexual interaction could be helpful for buffering adult hippocampal neurogenesis and recognition memory function against the suppressive actions of chronic stress. So, growing brain cells by engaging in sexual activity does appear to have a basis in scientific fact. This is backed up by researchers from Coventry and Oxford University in the UK, who have also found a link between frequent sexual activity and improved brain function in older adults. Their research was published in the Journals of the Gerontology, Series B, Psychological and Social Sciences. Although the UK study authors could not say for sure why a link between sexual activity and brain power exists, there is speculation that it may have something to do with the release of alchemical hormones, such as dopamine or oxytocin, which are responsible for transmitting signals within the brain. The lead researcher, Dr. Haley Wright, said, We can only speculate whether this is driven by social or physical elements, but an area we would like to research further is the biological mechanisms that may influence this. Every time we do another piece of research, we are getting a little bit closer to understanding why this association exists at all, what the underlying mechanisms are, and whether there is a cause and effect relationship between sexual activity and cognitive function in older people. Wright continued, "People don't like to think that older people have sex, but we need to challenge this conception at a societal level and look at what impact sexual activity can have on those aged 50 and over, beyond the known effects on sexual health and general well-being. When reaching old age, it is generally considered that the sexual impulse withers away, becoming non-existent, or being buried due to social pressures that older people should no longer engage themselves in sexual activity, let alone thinking about it at all. There's even moralistic debates as to whether vividly imagined sexual fantasies can be harmful to the brain. There are some puritanical neuroscientists from the University of Texas who biblically argued that excessive fantasizing about sex, as well as viewing pornography, should be seen as a dangerous addiction, who also say can result in permanent anatomical and pathological changes to the brain. This inquisitional viewpoint of religious politics was quickly challenged in a rebuttal from researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles, who said that the Texan researchers offered little, if any, convincing evidence to support their perspectives. Instead, excessive liberties and misleading interpretations of neuroscience research are used to assert that excessive pornography consumption causes brain damage. It has far more to do with how a human imaginatively interacts with sexual imagery. If it has no other meaning beyond copulating, then it can indeed become addictive for those who are prone to addictions. But when the sexual imagery is aligned with a spiritual orientation, such as introverting the sexual impulse into the dream in order to initiate lucid dreaming, then it becomes a potent tool for intelligence increase. This is more so the case for older people, who in ancient cultures would often disengage themselves from worldly matters in order to seek deeper truths by internalizing their sexual impulse, rather than totally cutting it out of the equation, which, of inner sexual explorations, going by scientific research, is good for the brain. For example, Tracy J. Shores, a psychologist at the Center for Collaborative Neuroscience at Rutgers University, has determined that while many activities can increase the rate at which new brain cells are born, only effortful, successful learning will increase their survival. As Shores said at a meeting on cognitive enhancers at the Society for Neuroscience in 2012, you can make new cells with exercise, Prozac and sex. If you do mental training, you'll keep alive more cells that you produced. And if you do both, now you have the best of both worlds. You're making more cells and keeping more alive. The ancient shamanic technique of introverting the sexual impulse into the dream does not require you taking Big Pharma Prozac. But as previously mentioned, it will require you engaging in accompanying exercises, such as creative visualization and utilizing your active imagination, which is basically daydreaming, as well as practicing meditation, getting into yoga, or similar physical activities involving breathing exercises, which gets your lungs pumping endogenous DMT. The sexual imagery, which is utilized for meditation purposes by a shaman, are symbolically aligned with what the shaman desires to access within a lucid dream, such as for self-healing, increasing creative output, or accessing information from the subconscious mind. Anyway, my crow is presently conjuring me as his succubus art muse amidst his triangle of art imagination unto his erotic lucid dreams. So, now I have to flap my leathery bat wings and fly off and pose for my crow as his L.S.I. art model. Bye for now. May your Necronomicon dreams be L.S.I., dark of a seventh seal, revelation.